Good evening, everyone. Tonight's video is about intellectual honesty. Now, I'm going to talk about that tonight because I have chosen to pull a video off of my channel. If you recall, there was a video a few weeks ago I did about poppies, the glorification of war, UK, and Cambridge University. It came to my attention a couple days ago that that video was essentially based on fake news. So I decided to do my research, and much like a journalist would do if they found out something was incorrect in their article, I am going to be, I guess, putting up a retraction or a correction, however that is worded in the YouTube world, because I did find out that in fact maybe this wasn't fully fake news. I hadn't stated anything completely outlandish, but there wasn't enough meat and potatoes for the emotional side of the claim that I had made. And basically what had happened was I had done my research before I did this, but I had looked at about 5 sources. Unfortunately, being in the UK, I hadn't realized a few of them have a tendency to be a little hyperbolic and very biased in nature. Now, I can't prove that they were lying, but I did dig and dig and dig. It was hard to make heads and tails on this one. I'm not going to get into all the details, but at the end of the day, I did find out that about half of the details I had reported were correct, and about the other half were sort of a question mark. He said, she said, opposing views of the story. Certain details were true, like the Conservatives' original motion to have more emphasis put on Remembrance Day. That was all true. There was resistance to it, but it had more to do with the nationality of the soldiers being remembered and less to do with the poppy itself. I have confirmed that, in fact, there was no motion to ban the poppy. I had never claimed it was banned, but I was under the impression that there was some activists, specifically one girl, pushing this. I've confirmed she exists, but I haven't found an article of hers since 2017. These are the sorts of things. Too many question marks. At the end of the day, I can't keep it on my channel and have it invoke feeling and emotion and opinion if it's just not quite solid enough for me to really verify. So I am glad that brought up some really great discussion. We had really amazing patriotic discussion about war and what it means, and respecting our veterans and our dead, essentially, that have sacrificed for us. A good discussion about not whitewashing history, which is a very, very relevant topic right now. But ultimately, I had to pull it for ethical reasons. Now, why do I even bring this up? Well, I thought it was an important topic and something that's a good preamble into a lot of other videos I plan to do. Little snippets about morality and human consciousness and psychology as it pertains to discussing politics. I've had some really bizarre and interesting and educational experiences the last few weeks, particularly with interpersonal communication. So this is one of the things that I think is a hugely important part as a conservative of talking to people who we would like to help see our view. Ultimately, we all know there's people that will never come around, but there is a group of people that just believe the wrong things about conservatives. For example, that we're heartless, that we don't care about the poor, that we don't care about the environment, so on and so forth. There's so many, basically, non-truths that need to be debunked. And the best way to do that is, of course, to remain high in integrity. That's all we have at the end of the day. That's what I learned, when I went through what I went through, and I lost kind of everything at one point. All I had left was who I was and my integrity. We can't lose that. And if you can't admit that you're wrong and made a mistake, then it's very hard for people to take you seriously. Now, it's not easy to admit that you made a mistake, but I've made enough of them and admitted to enough of them that it's getting easier as the time goes on. Ultimately, it feels better to come clean and say, you know what? I'm not going to push something that isn't completely honest. Guess I should have done more research. My bad. So if we can't do that, it looks like we're just pushing an agenda forward. It looks like we don't have the ability to just say, hey, I was wrong, and be a little bit vulnerable and a little bit human. The beautiful part of being vulnerable and human is that you also allow other people to be vulnerable and human, and it sort of spreads. It's a good trait to always continually push, but it's not the easiest one because it takes a fair bit of a hit to pride at times, especially if you consider yourself smart and you don't want to be duped and you don't want to take in fake news, obviously. So I say thank you to the viewer who let me know about this. They were very polite about it. I can't remember the name right now. I can only picture their avatar image, but you guys know who you are. Thank you for keeping me on my toes. I do encourage people to challenge themselves in this way. In general, you can disarm the people you're talking to, this is what I'm learning, by just being really actually honest and full of integrity. It's so rare nowadays to have pure ethics and people that want to do the right thing for the sake of good instead of just to have some sort of ego. It's so rare that people don't know what to do with it when it hits them. They'll often just stop and leave you alone. It's really bizarre. It's a really good way to disarm a conversation. So I'm going to leave it with you guys there and call it a night. I hope you have a blessed week. As always, be good to each other, not because Sockboy or any other government official tells you to. Take care.